Welcome, everyone, to the November 5th edition of the Signals from Mars live stream. I am joined by Mr. Brad Dahl.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
This is awesome. Jeremy, I'm glad I reminded you. I was in some of you guys joined me on Fireside because it was broadcasting out onto Twitter and it went out on YouTube and Twitch. And I was opening up different screens to see what people were chiming in about. If you guys haven't asked in on Fireside, you can do that, and then that way I can bring you up on stage during the show while I'm doing that live. Brad just went through all the fiery hoops, so let's see if they allow him in.
Fiery hoops, that might lead into today's story.
Oh boy. But I want to say hello to Jeremy in the UK. It is nice and early for you tonight. Jeremy's here at 10 p.m. Jose is in Connecticut. He is, I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so on the East Coast, it's what? It's not 11 p.m. on the East Coast. Why the hell's my computer telling me that? No. No, if it's 3 p.m. on the West Coast, it means that it's 6 p.m. on the East Coast. It's the same time as usual. I don't know why I'm fumbling here. For Johan, an hour early for us for this week. So, let's see. So Jose, just to answer real quick, and hello to Paula as well. So Fireside's a platform that Mark Cuban started, and with a bunch of different people. And they have a really, I don't know if secure is the right thing, but they have a vetting process. There you go. Where they want to make sure that trolls aren't coming onto the platform. So they want to check out, why you're there, who told you about it. And from there, if you get in and you get into trouble, they know who to say, hey, why'd you tell this joker to join us? Because he happens to be causing all these problems. So, see, I could have had, where'd this go? Something just literally disappeared in front of me. Oh. How'd that move spots? I was looking for that.
There we go.
Anyway, the cool thing with Fireside is that if I have enough of a following, I spoke to several bands' publicists, somebody that I get along with very well, and I explained the platform to her because somebody that I interviewed a few months back said, hey, would love to come back on because I want to do an interactive show where people are asking questions and doing this kind of stuff. And I said, okay. So I explained to the PR person, I said, well, Fireside is a new social audio platform, and it allows you to talk to people, interview people, and it allows you to call the audience up on stage and allow them to ask questions. So, for example, you have the Udo shirt on. If we have Udo Dirkschneider on, imagine instead of chatting this stuff up in the chat, there you go, the new album Game Over. Instead of just typing your questions up, there you go, Udo, his son, the rest of the band, you guys would be able to actually speak to the person in question, the guest in question. So if you have any type of question you'd be able to ask, obviously if you ask something that they complain about, then it'd kick you off the platform. But hey, sometimes there's a price to pay.
Yeah, my question about this, okay, I am being hopefully vetted now and they're going to let me on. We'll see.
Right.
Will it be that easy to get the artists to get on there? Are there several people who are already on this platform?
Okay, so that's a very good question because that's one of my questions as well. But I'll say this, they're really good about handling questions personally. The person that's running this, along with Mark Cuban, she's very hands-on. So you can email her.
Oh, cool.
Or I have a contact within the support with their support team. They actually did so. I had some questions for them, and they actually got on video chat with me to talk about different things. Unfortunately, a lot of things that I talked to them about ended up being what I'm doing on Twitch on Tuesdays. But I wanted to do a trivia show, and ultimately, the reason why I started doing that on Twitch is because Twitch has a plugin built in that allows you to do trivia questions. So that's why I went that route. I mean, this all of these different things depends on how many people are interested, how many people we can get back on here. If ultimately we can only get 3 people on Fireside after like a month or two, then there's kind of no reason to continue to do it. With Twitch, it's kind of the same thing, but I think with Twitch, maybe with that interactive feature, because Brad, you've been on the 2 weeks. From what Dan and you have been saying, it's been, entering the trivia questions, and Dan has said that he's like a lot of like my banter in between the questions and whatnot. What have you tell the people? What has been your experience with those Tuesday night trivia shows?
This is fantastic because this is something I actually really wanted to talk about is how
Okay.
awesome your trivia show is. And I think it would be incredibly more awesome if more people would join in. Not that Metal Dan isn't, I mean, let's face it, he whooped my ass this week. Yeah, and it's the stupid 90s bands that get me. But that's cool. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I need to bridge that gap in my music knowledge. But the it's really fun. I don't know. I'm a big trivia guy anyway. I really
Okay.
find those kind of things fun. But the way you do it is very cool, and the way it is on Twitch is very cool. It's you just punch your answer right in there, and like you said, the sooner you answer, the more points you get. Of course, if you answer incorrectly and you answer quickly incorrectly, then you lose that many points as
Lose
well.
big.
Yeah, which is good because then that just keeps people from just guessing on everything.
Right.
Yeah, that is if you want to win. But I think it'd be a blast if we got more people on there. So everybody listening to this, you need to get on Twitch here with Victor, and and Tuesdays. It's that trivia Tuesdays. We're gonna probably ride that for a while. I think.
Yep. Unless we, unless things don't work out, and I just decide to take it to another, to another day. I mean, what could end up happening if Tuesday, if Fireside doesn't work out, I could potentially end up just moving that trivia show to Fridays because most of the audience is here on Fridays. The biggest pain in the ass out of the whole thing, because this is something that I've been thinking about all week. I was thinking, well, why don't I just do the entire show on Twitch instead? The problem is having the format, um, being able to have guests on would be the hardest thing, and having that, everything else going on. But now that I'm thinking, I could actually run that trivia outside of this and run it through here. I don't know. There's still some different things that we can try to see if it'll work. But
Well, I see. I
Johan,
think Johan wants to know what is Twitch. Yeah, it is a side effect of some medications and a couple of different illnesses. That's for sure. But it's also an app that you can put on your phone,
yeah,
and you can also log into Twitch.com on your laptop as well. So
it's similar to YouTube.
yeah, and it's easy. It's not like Fireside. You can get right in, and yeah, it's pretty dang cool, and it would be a blast. I think even Victor might be able to come up with a rush question, knowing that Johan's going to participate.
Yeah, there's it's funny because I have a few in mind. I haven't included them in the first 50 questions. I will say that Brad and Metal Dan have seen half of my questions so far. But I think this last week was kind of a good mix. It was a half hour long.
Yeah.
It was more or less 15 minutes of me talking at the beginning, 15 minutes worth of questions. And then after we kind of hung out for a few minutes, and that was it. It's a short show.
That's a good way to do it, by the way.
Yeah. I think it is as well, because I think the first week I tried doing an hour worth of questions, and that was way too long. And let's see. Jose asks if there's a fee. There's no fee, obviously, for Twitch. There isn't. You're on it now.
I think we might have to charge Jose.
No, we'll get a family discount.
Family discount.
Yeah, but yeah, and Fireside, there's no charge for that either. It's just all the rings you have to jump through, all the fiery hoops.
Speaking of fiery hoops, what is this bonfire night, Jeremy? I don't know. Do you know anything about this, Victor? Is this is this just a UK thing, or
this could be a UK thing? Jeremy, what's bonfire night?
Yeah, what's with all the fireworks? Are fireworks legal in England?
Fireworks are legal all over Europe. You can't
really.
You can't buy ibuprofen over the counter, but you can. Oh yeah. You're right. Guy Fawkes night. Okay, correct.
It sounds like some weird hockey guy.
Right, but yeah, Bonfire, the German band. Guy Fawkes was a revolutionary that had his the conspiracy of gunpowder, November 4th, 5th. He tried to blow up Parliament, and he got drawn and quartered instead.
Isn't there a sound effect for that? There you go.
I mean, I've got quite a few.
Yeah, you need to have those at the ready. You need to be queued
up. So I have two different options for this. I have a bunch on the board that I use for the show, but you always have to go like back and forth, So to explain, for example, we celebrate it every year with a bonfire, the false sky and the fireworks, bloody noise.
Yeah, I got to say, as Victor knows, I've been in Wyoming a couple of times these past few weeks, and fireworks are legal there. They're not really legal here, okay, in Utah, which is, of course, where I'm hanging out. And I'm always tempted to buy some, but then, setting them off kind of drives Molly, the metal dog, a little bit crazy. So I don't do that. And plus, I don't want to burn this place down. It's so dry. But now we're getting into the time of year. My tradition when my son was young was we'd blow stuff up on Christmas Eve.
Okay. Same thing here, actually.
Yeah, because you could do it early. I mean, it gets dark at 5:30. And so it's not like you're waking people up or anything. And so I try to get the ones that are less noisy. Just the ones that just kind of blow up more, so that way it doesn't bother Molly. And I put her in the basement in a theater, and then I crank up like a Rush album, and that seems to help.
Why are you cranking up Rush? Is that to scare her?
That's for Molly. That's not to disturb her. Good one. See, well played.
Yeah. So here, the first year that I was here for New Year's, actually no, the second time, because I was here in '96 for New Year's. I guess this was 2002 going into 2003. And it's funny because a lot has changed. Like in front of my house, they redid everything. Like we have 2 sets of train tracks going. Actually, there's 3 sets of train tracks. So there's 2 bridges. They redid the bridges because they were only big enough for a horse and buggy and like a small like Fiat 500. but they redid them, and when they redid them, they redid all the lights. So there's a ton of street lights now. I tell my kids this all the time because we go to walk at night a lot of times, and the town is pretty much lit up. But I would tell them, look, from here all the way to like the other point of town, there was only one street light. I said I would ride my bike home to my grandmother's house, which was 2 towns away, and you'd sprint to the streetlights so that the cars could see you. There was no such thing as fluorescent clothes back then, or anything with reflective clothing to so that cars could see you. So and it was funny because as a result, you could see shooting stars all the time. You could see all types of stars at night. Now you can't because of all the light pollution that there is here. But there's one time where Gabriel, who I refer to him as the metal dentist, there was there's each town usually has two like celebrations every year. It's usually based on different different days that pertain to saints. So here we were getting ready to go to one of these get-togethers. So it'd be equivalent to like a fair in the US, basically. And because there were no streetlights, we're walking down the street, and I see this thing coming at us. I'm like, oh my God, there's like this gorilla coming at us all of a sudden. And all of a sudden, it's my cousin is 6'4". He's bigger than I am. So he's coming at us. And all of a sudden, I hear him saying my name. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to crap myself here because I thought this like giant like thing was coming at us, and it was you. There was a giant thing coming at us, but it was friendly.
Wait, that was Jose?
Yeah. No, Jose has also been here. I want to say he's been here 2 or 3 times because where I live is our grandparents' old house. When my grandmother passed away, my wife and I bought the house, and then we renovated the whole thing. We gutted the whole house because everything on the inside, I mean, the wood was from the 30s. And outside of like the beams themselves, or not even the beams, like the bigger pillars and things we could keep. Everything else we had to get rid of. But because that was solid oak. But anyway, yeah, on the lookout for neighbors' dogs. Plenty of stray dogs back then.
Hey, I've just been approved for a fireside. That fast.
There you go.
Yeah, just popped up here. It says party time. I had no idea there was going to be a party.
There you go.
All right. Well, they actually texted me too, so I got it all around.
There you go. Next week.
Right, so fireside, here we come. All right,
There
I'm in.
next week.
Next Friday.
So there you go. Jose has been here 4 times, several weeks in 97. Okay. See, I was by that time, I think the last year I came was like 92, then came back in 96, and then didn't come back until the early 2000s. But I'm here now.
Yeah, it doesn't look like you're going anywhere either.
Yeah, it's funny because I received well, my mother sent me this paperwork that was sent for voting, and it said something to the extent of, well, if you're living abroad and it's only a temporary residence. I said, yeah, I've been saying it's a temporary residence for almost 18 years now. So I don't know how temporary it actually is. When I spoke to Ron Scalzo last week, he says to me, he says, yeah, I'm only temporarily here in Nashville. I said, yep, said that 18 years ago myself. So we'll see.
Well, when I came to Utah in 1984, I said I would leave the day I graduated, and that was a long time ago. So still here. Yeah, it's kind of weird how that works out.
What was the main draw? School to go to Utah?
Yeah, it was cheap. California was crazy expensive, and guess what? I had no money because I was a musician.
Right.
And that's and plus, well, I had a stupid job. I can't remember what I was doing at the time, but I was like, and I mean, every cent I made was going towards paying rent, food, car, and that. I mean, it's like I don't have any money for school.
Hmm.
But Utah was dirt cheap back then, and
Right.
yeah, so I got in here pretty easy, and yeah, it's not that way anymore, by the way. So, although it's weird, most of our students now are from out of state, which I find that just really bizarre. I don't know what's going on.
It's probably not as cheap as what it was before, but probably a lot cheaper than other states still. Because I mean, look at all of the famous people that are hightailing it out of California for tax reasons mainly.
Yeah, I don't blame them. Which, by the way, Wyoming, no state tax.
See, there you go. There's a bunch of there's I think it's 8 states that have no state tax.
Yeah, well, awesome. Hey, have I ever told the coffee enema story? Is that one that I've told to you guys? Victor's rolling his eyes, so I'm going to say no.
You've told several enema stories. I'm just trying to think if
Several
the
enemas. You know, there's so many.
Okay, so let me ask this to as a preface before we go into this. Um,
Okay.
Hot or cold coffee?
That's the clue right there. That is see,
Okay.
you're a thinking man. You if you it had been you, there would have been no story. So this this is a story from quite a long time ago,
Okay.
and it originates at the Motel 6 in downtown Salt Lake City. Now, for those of you out of the country, I don't know that are there. Yeah, story time with Dr. Brad. It's time, kids. Gather around. We're going to have story time with Dr. Brad. Where's Steve? How come Steve's not here? This
I
is
don't know.
this yeah, this is right up his alley. Get it? Okay. Um uh so yeah, if you people out of the country, do they have Motel 6s in Sweden? I doubt it. I don't know. Do
I
you get
don't
them
think
in
so.
Spain? Okay.
No, they're probably owned by a company that has, because
Right. Okay.
usually there's like chains over here that are owned by like the Hilton Corporation, but
Yes.
Hiltons are only in like the big cities, basically. Like
Right.
there's Ritz Carltons everywhere, but I'm
Oh,
sure
okay.
they own other. See, Johan saying no Motel 6.
Okay.
Just
Well,
just so
Motel
you guys know, nothing good happens at Motel 6 in Salt Lake City. But go ahead.
yeah, that's for sure. Um Yeah, and just so you know, Motel 6, I guess the name of it comes from back in the day when they started the motel, all rooms were $6. Okay, I don't know what year that was, but it's back before I had money. It was one of the only places I could afford to stay, and so yeah, that leads. Well, there's so many other Motel 6 stories. Um, but anyway, the fantastic thing, and I don't know if this is a European thing as well, but in America, it's the thing to have coffee in your room. So they have like a coffee pot in the room so you can make your own coffee in the morning, so you don't have to like drag your ass downstairs to the lobby to get hot coffee. So these people had checked into the Motel 6 in downtown Salt Lake City, and I don't know why they decided to start thinking about doing a coffee enema. The coffee enema thing goes way back. I mean, I had a buddy in the 70s who lived in New Zealand for a while, and he got hepatitis B there. I guess that's a thing in New Zealand. And when he came back, he was
C is
showing
the
me. Go
C
ahead.
is the common one, isn't it?
Well, now they didn't have C back then. Back then it was only A and B. So
Okay.
yeah, C is more, hipper and modern and millennial. So anyway, he got hepatitis and he was doing coffee enemas because somebody had told him it was good for his liver. And there's all kinds of crap out there, no pun intended, about coffee enemas, and it's
Right.
still a thing. So, anyways, these guys decided, hey, and it was a couple, man and a woman, and decided, hey, let's do coffee enemas. We got coffee in the room. Well, unlike Victor, they never thought about the idea that, hey, you got to let this cool down first. So this woman gave her husband a hot coffee enema. Exactly. Yeah, this guy ended up in the hospital, man. It was bad. I mean, wrecked him. Yeah, wrecked him. Totally.
I hardly knew him.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, it led me to start thinking about coffee enemas. I thought, guy, I could start like a chain of coffee enema stores and call it Starbutts. No? Okay.
Wait.
Thank you. I'll be here, well, at least for the next then I also thought, and you guys might be too young for this, and especially Europeans aren't going to get this. There used to be a commercial about they'd go into these fancy restaurants. It was a Folgers commercial, which is a powdered coffee here, an instant coffee, and they'd go substitute their fancy coffee with Folgers crystals. And the tagline was that you didn't even know you were drinking Folgers. And so I thought, well, that'd be a great commercial. It's like, we substituted Bob's coffee enema with Folgers crystals. Let's see if you can tell a difference.
Yeah. Well, the crystals left him feeling.
Exactly. And then they had a jingle that went with that too. It was the best part of waking up. The best part of waking up is Folgers up your butt. So I thought I could change that. So.
Well, it could work. Would they have Paul Stanley singing that like he did back in the back in when did he do that? Was that like the 90s?
Listen, I want to tell you, you've been a dynamite audience, and you deserve to give yourselves a round of applause. Let's go.
What did he do a commercial for?
Oh, for Folgers. He sings the song.
No way.
You've never heard it?
I'm going on YouTube right when we're done here. I'm going
Wait, no. You're not going to YouTube. You're hearing it right now, damn it. Let me pull that up. That's
Stanley singing. Oh, wow.
Paul Stanley singing the Folgers song.
That's awesome.
Let's hope that this doesn't get us kicked off of one of these things. I had to take out music. No, not music. I had to blur images out and take music out of the last episode that I did with Steve.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. Because I got a copyright complaint from Warner Brothers.
Wow. What was it that triggered it? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was we were talking about Halloween music, and we talked about the Misfits, and he talked about one song by the Misfits called Scream. So while we were talking, I had the video playing, and they did a copyright claim on it. Okay.
Wow. You let me know when you got it, and I'll shut up.
This is your wake-up call. Time to reach, go for it all. Folgers stirs inside of me, and I know what I can be. The limit is the sky. Hey world, watch me fly. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Paul. I think it would have been better if he'd have thrown in the up your butt. Okay. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Paul Stanley's had a coffee enema or two in his day.
I'm going to go out on a limb. So this is who resides next to Paul Stanley in my bank of sounds here. It's Ozzy Osbourne. Ow! 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 I think that's after getting the coffee enema. So
yeah. And
so he ended up in the hospital. He ended up in the
hospital, man. I mean, he burned his ass big time. Yeah. So that was the take-home message, kids.
Now, here's a question.
Cool down. Yeah, one lump or two.
No, I'm not the the puma from Bugs Bunny. Did he then go in to have himself bleached? Because I'm sure.
Oh, it was totally brown. Yeah. No, bleaching came later. This is way pre-bleaching. So
Okay.
but yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. So yeah, kids, don't do enemas. All right, just don't. Yeah, if you can't poop, there's other ways to go get that stuff out of you.
Right.
Chase it out the front door.
Just ask the Santa Claus guy.
There you go. Oh.
Yeah.
One other real quick story. And I'll tell this one just because it was back in the day when I had a web page that the old Poison Pentium that told poison stories. It was for some reason the most popular one there, which didn't make sense to me because it seemed pretty normal to me. But again, I've seen a lot of people eat and drink a lot of things they shouldn't. But there's a story that started with dad and his buddies decided hey, we need to tie one on, and they're in the Salt Lake area. So about an hour and a half west of here is Nevada, and when you cross the border, it's casinos because it's a border town. Okay, it's called Wendover.
Right.
And so these guys decided, hey, we're going to go out to Wendover, we're going to gamble, we're going to drink, and then we're going to come home. Well, on their way home, after a lot of drinking, which it's always good to be drinking and driving, although it's mostly a straight road. But anyway, they all had to pee, but
Okay.
the guy didn't want to pull over. Okay, which would have been the right thing to do. And they had a bottle, an old apple juice bottle in the car. So they all took turns peeing in this apple juice bottle. So when they got home, dad, I guess he left it in the car because he was still pretty trash. He went in and went to bed. Mom gets up in the morning and she goes out there and she sees this bottle of what she thought was apple juice.
Similar consistencies, similar color.
The color, yeah. She didn't obviously smell it. And they had a baby. So she's like, oh.
No.
Yep. So she fed this baby, like, I don't know what number of bottle he was on, but when dad woke up after being up all night partying, he woke up and he walked out in the kitchen and saw this apple juice bottle sitting on the counter and it wasn't full anymore. He's like, where did you get that? And she goes, I got it from the car. He's like, oh no, did you drink that? She said, oh no, I've been feeding it to Junior. So yeah. There you go. I've never knowingly drank urine. I don't know. I can't comment on how it tastes. So
open bottle, wouldn't you smell it first, especially since it was open and it was probably full and
oh guy, yeah, don't yeah, I had this guy the other night, and this is a great thing too. At 4 a.m, you'd be, people who are up at 3 and 4 a.m. My typical answer for them to solve their problems is go to bed. All right, just go to frickin' bed.
Some of us can't fall asleep.
You wouldn't be up doing dumbass stuff. Well, this guy had this bottle of non-dairy yogurt, which what the hell is that? I mean, anyways, it's a brand new bottle. He opened it up and he said the foil.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to having my intestine ruined by a doctor, that's the only kind of yogurt I can have.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, so not only are you up at 4 a.m., but you've got non-dairy. Was this you calling me, Victor?
No, it was not me, because by that time, 4 a.m. your time is what? You're 8 hours behind? No, it's midday for me.
Yeah, 8 years behind here in Utah. So anyway, he opened up this bottle. He just bought it, and he said the little foil seal thing on it was open.
So you don't drink it.
Yeah, well, duh. But,
so
hey,
So here's my rationale with that. How much does a bottle cost you? $3, let's say. 5 maybe max. Maybe you've got some like high protein good shit for like working out. Okay, maybe that's like $8 or $9. Is it worth being in the fucking hospital for 2-3 days and taking $100 and something worth of medicine? Throw the shit out.
Well, it even gets sillier from there. Okay, he said he smelled it and it smelled not right. He said it smelled like ammonia. So, okay, right there. Okay,
We have a winner. We have a winner. Woohoo!
yeah. So I have a rule about eating and drinking things, and that number one is if it looks bad. Number two, if it smells bad. Number three, don't eat it. Don't drink it. Don't even try. But this guy tasted it and he said it was way wicked nasty.
Newsflash. If it smells like ammonia, you don't drink it. You don't consume it. Are you serious? I mean, come on.
Yeah. See, Victor, if everybody was like you, I'd be out of a job. Well, of course, I'd always have 2-year-olds.
Or you have the dumb mom that doesn't lead the story off with, yeah, my infant drank bleach. Instead, she leads off with,
I'm bleaching my rectum.
Yeah.
Story time. That's always good stuff. So there you go. There's our little story time with Brad, Dr. Brad. Excuse me.
And this segment.
Do we want to talk about music for a second?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to ask you. You showed us "Game Over" by Udo.
Yes, and that's what I wanted. I'm wearing the Udo shirt. Here's what's funny. Okay, the year 2000 is when I got this. 2000. Holy crap, this shirt's.
I noticed that because it does say 2000 on your shirt.
Yeah. It's the Holy Tour, which that's the first time I've seen Udo. First time I ever saw Udo. And I fell in love with what he was doing. And I bought this shirt before I was there to see Saxon was headlining this. It was a music festival in South Texas in San Antonio. Big thing. I mean, several thousand people outdoors. And it was, anyway, it was great. It's great to be amongst like-minded people in the year 2000 that love metal. And anyway, so I was buying the Saxon shirt for me. But then I saw this shirt, and I don't know if you can see the back.
Metal. What does it say? Metal is my religion. Is that what it says? Our religion?
Metal is my religion. So I actually bought this for my wife. I thought, okay, you need to wear this and wear it proudly, and because metal should be your religion. And so it was kind of a running joke with us. But as you see, I'm wearing it now. So the new Udo came out, and I actually because I buy music because I don't know why I buy CDs. Well, because I don't have a turntable, so I can't buy vinyl. Sorry, Jeremy. I'm still considering it, but so I still buy CDs mostly to support the band, and I do support the Udo guys because they were so good to me, in the interview that we did, and but I got to tell you, this album is really good, like really, really good. I mean, I feel like a lot of the albums he did, I think Holy is probably one of my favorite ones of his, but a lot of them are kind of the same thing over and over kind of stuff, and
right,
kind of generic, not the greatest lyrics and stuff like that. But this
it's not like Stairway to Heaven deep or like All Along the Watchtower. Because I mean, he's usually like really deep with his lyrics.
Yeah. But I don't know, the last one, and the fact that it was what is called Steel Factory. Is that what it was called? I think the last album, the last Udo proper album.
The last two studio albums were both. One was like Steel Force, and the other one was like Steel Factory.
Yeah, Steel Factory. When I saw that title, I was like, "Oh, God, could we be a little more cliche?" And this one probably, I mean, the cover and everything, you look at it and you're like, yeah, that looks a little bit like, kind of cliche metal stuff. But I'm going to tell you, like, Steel Factory, I thought was fantastic, super fantastic. The songs are just great, the riffs are unbelievable, and it's this good sounding album. This,
right,
I'm going to say, is even better. Okay, If you haven't listened to this whole album, if you just watch the video clips, forget about the video clips. Get the album, or make sure you got good earbuds, good headphones, or whatever you're going to listen to. Don't listen on crappy computer speakers or your phone speaker. It is really good, and it's the songs. I mean, there's one ballad on there that it's like okay, but I'm not a ballad guy. Let's see here. Jeremy says I like Steel Factory. I like the new one too. Yes. Yeah. So anyway, I'm all in on this. I can't. I'm just. It blows my mind that Udo keeps cranking out. Well, recently keeps cranking out these great albums with great songs, and there's 14 songs on this thing. And when I
16.
saw that, I thought, oh, that's going to be a lot. 15.
16.
Well, I'm in America, so maybe they won't get as many. Let's see.
Well, on the Apple
Yeah.
Music one, it's 16.
That goes back to that. Oh, you're right. It is 16.
See that?
It's so good. It feels like 14. Yeah, but when you see that, you think, oh, guy, 16 songs. There's probably like what 3 good ones on there. No. There's at least 10 that are just fantastic, and a bunch of other really good ones. So
what you're saying is, Game Over is like a musical enema to your ears.
I think we're gonna have to put that out as a headline. Yeah, my review. Can you put that on the next Signals to not Signals tomorrow? Your next Mars Attacks. Brad's review of Game Over.
We can do that. Hey, Jeremy does his patrons pick. We can add other patrons pick. Maybe it will evolve. Who knows? Maybe we can do just a show on patrons pick, similar to what we did. You submitted a song for the radio show, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I haven't listened.
Yeah, it was the Fiction 6 you submitted. Yeah. So I mean, that's I thought that I kind of, how do I want to put this? I was going through Patreon the other day and actually jumping out of a bunch of different things that I had been subscribed to. Why? Because to get one thing a week or one thing a month or one thing every so many months, it's not worth it to me. And that's why I put up all the content that I do, even though some people may think that I'm spamming them with content, as I've been told.
It's easy not to listen to it, by the way.
Yes.
I mean, I want to listen to all the songs, but I find it hard to like pull that time of my day, because the minute I start listening to something, somebody interrupts me. I'm like, geez, I'm trying to listen to this song. This crappy I wasn't going to say this crappy Norwegian band. There we go. I certainly don't want to diss Sweden, because I love Norway too, but Sweden right here. Okay. Yeah.
At least musically it's there. It's in your heart.
It is, man. Yeah. Johan, are you still with us? Is he still? Yeah, he's still there. I don't know. Is it like, can I come to Sweden? What do I have to do? I don't have to quarantine, right? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe if he is I believe he's there. So Johan, being someone that is a public figure, would just knowing all of Brad's stories, okay, so you don't have to quarantine. There you go.
Okay, all right.
The Swedes would welcome you with open arms.
Yeah, it's better than an open butthole, but exactly. God, I gotta go to Sweden. So yeah,
Sweden
and I'm
rock.
bringing. Yeah, I want to go there just to rock, man. I'm bringing my bass, so I'm ready to rock. Let's go.
You got to go to Sweden Rock Festival. Just walk in with your bass.
Are they doing that this year, Johan? Are they having Sweden Rock this year? Are they?
I think he said they were in 22.
Here's the problem with stuff. It's kind of like, we got. I think I've mentioned the Ghost and Volbeat
right
concert is coming up here in January. And I haven't bought tickets for it yet, just because I'm like, well, what if this doesn't happen?
And
I don't know.
therein lies the problem. That's the problem that they're having, is that a lot of bands don't have the tickets are selling close to the dates. So there are a lot of dates that are being canceled, or tours that are being canceled, because the pre-sales have been soft.
Right.
Mark and I discussed that last week, that the Blabbermouth had posted that Kiss had canceled the Las Vegas residency
Yeah.
because they supposedly couldn't get enough people there, or not enough pre-sales, is what I'm trying to get at. So,
Yeah, their show that they did here in northern Utah,
mhm,
it was selling pretty soft when it was first put out. And so I was looking at that thinking, oh man, there's going to be like great seats available at the end, maybe even prices will go down. And so I
mhm.
put off buying a ticket. And as it turned out, the doggone thing sold out. I mean, even the resale market, I think the day of I got on there and there was like 6 tickets left and they were stupidly overpriced. I'm like, and they had over 20,000 people. It was incredible.
Wow.
And I saw like heard from people that went, saw video from people there, and it was legit sold out. I mean, unbelievable.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! All right.
Wow. Yeah, Sweden Rock was almost sold out. Good for them.
Well, look at, for example, Hellfest in France. They're sold out, and it's 2 weekends. They're essentially cramming in 2 years worth of festivals into 2 weekends. So, well, actually over 2 weeks, because it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They, for what would have been 2019, no, or 2020, and then what would have been this year's festival is going to go down the following Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So there's technically only 3 days in between.
So that hasn't happened yet, though, right?
It's going to happen this June.
June. Okay.
Coming June, yeah.
Wow. It's hard
And
to
there's
even think that there's going to be a June.
and it's something insane, like 420 bands are playing over both weekends.
Wow. Yeah. My problem with that kind of thing, and I don't know what the facilities are like, but it's probably just standing room. I mean, you're like out in the middle of a field, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm too old for that crap.
But most of these festivals do have like VIP sections where you can, where there is seated, where there are seated sections. So it comes down to, depending on who you know and what you want to pay for a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to think if I'm going to fly all the way to Europe, that I'm not going to go cheap on the concert ticket. It's like, oh, I got to save some money now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can do it though. I can stand up. I don't know. I can stand up for quite a while as long as I can move around a bit.
Well, the interesting thing here, though, is, and I'll give you my experience at festivals here. I mentioned this last week to the guys from Return to Earth, because Chris Penny was saying that he had played a festival in Spain and that it was really hot. I said, you're preaching to the choir here, because we went to Madrid for a festival. I think it was 09, 2010 maybe, but it was like over 100 degrees at night.
Oh no.
And we were in tents. And while we were coming into the place, I noticed that there was a hotel, like where, the festival was taking place at the end of an industrial park, and at the other end was this hotel. I walked to the hotel at like 4 a.m, Well, my initial instinct was I was going to take a shower to see if I could cool down. I went there and I thought I was seeing a scene from Platoon because the water was like it was knee high at that point in all the portable showers that they had. I can't even tell you what the bathrooms looked like because there was urine flowing out of everything. I walked back to the hotel. I asked the guy, I said, "Do you have any rooms left?" He goes, "Well, the only rooms that are left have air conditioning." I'm like, "Yes, please." He says, "Well, it's kind of expensive. It'll be 80 euros for the night, which is like about $100. I'm like, "No problem." I went in there. I told my friends, I'm like, "I'm dehydrated. I'm too damn hot. I'll see you guys later today." I took a cold shower, cranked up the AC. I rolled into bed and I woke up at like 3 in the afternoon, 8, and then went out. Luckily, that next day wasn't as hot. But yeah, so I stayed the 2 nights, and then I had breakfast the next day there, and we were off on the way back home. But the festivals, unless you're set up the right way with a hotel close or something like that, some places have campsites that are decent, which is what a lot of people go to, because then obviously there's all the after hours partying going on there. But if it's ridiculously hot, it's horrible to be there. So
I wouldn't be able to put up with the heat. Not my thing. Well, we'll see. Sweden Rock. All right. I will look into that, Johan. I'll let you know.
Sweden. So the big festivals, we mentioned Hellfest. We mentioned Sweden Rock. Jeremy goes to Bloodstock. UK also has Download, which is another big one. In Spain, there's Resurrection Fest, which is kind of smaller than those. There's obviously Wacken in Germany as well. Yeah. There's Bang Your Head in Germany, but Bang Your Head is like in May or April. It's like way ahead of everything else. So yeah, so there you go. No heat in Sweden Rock. Well, it was funny because the one festival that I went to here where In Flames played, who's a Swedish band, the first thing that the singer said, first he says that they had their keyboard stolen. So their keyboard and their laptop stolen at the airport, so that they weren't going to be able to, they had to change their set list up because they couldn't play any songs that had a lot of like keys or like certain sound effects that they usually use. And then after the like first 2 songs, he says, "I got to take a drink of this whiskey." He says, This is fucking Spain and it's colder than Sweden here." And I'm thinking, yeah, you're in the north of Spain, my friend. You're not, once you hit the Mediterranean or you get up on the plateau, which is in the middle of the country, it's a completely different climate. For us, I mean, it's quote unquote winter here. It's been pouring rain for the last week and it's already, in the low 50s. So that's what winter's like here for us.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know.
Sweden Rock. Johan has been to a lot of different shows as well. Jeremy, for you, it's Download and Bloodstock. Okay, so he's.
What is he talking about getting flash fried? Was that like a?
Me and my wife burnt on one side of our face, clowns. So I guess that means that he got sunburnt down one side.
Okay. Oh, that would be awful.
Yeah. See, there are loads of mini rock and metal festivals here now, literally around 40 to 50 a year. There's a bunch here in Spain. Like there was one that Armored Saint and Maiden and Overkill, Saxon, and Accept played like 2 years ago at this point, I think it was. There's a few here in Spain as well. A few middle to small size things, because a lot of these bands play like Sweden Rock or play Hellfest, and then they try to find other shows to do in between. So like I mentioned, there's the town celebrations, the larger towns. I went to a show where it was Overkill, maybe. No, Overkill played the year after, but it was like this small town that has like 10,000 people, smallish town. It's not a city by any means, but they had Overkill and they had like a bunch of other like American bands.
So when a band like Overkill comes there, I mean, are they and it's not a festival thing? Are they playing like a club, a small club or something, or?
It depends where they're at. Where I saw them, I actually got to see them, which was technically a festival. Have a good night, Rob.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us
good night,
tonight.
Rob. Yeah, St. Louis shuts down early.
Yeah, it's usually a club if it's just them, but I saw them on something called the Kill Fest. So where they played was a sports arena, but when I say sports arena, it held like 5,000 people probably, and it was only like the floor, so there was maybe like 1,000 people there to see them.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah, if you're looking at, I mean, Metallica is something else, obviously, because they're going to play a stadium or an arena. Kiss is coming next year, and they play an arena. Priest was going to play with Ozzy, and that was going to be in various arenas. AC/DC plays stadiums here. Iron Maiden, depending, they've done a little of each. Children need food. Yes, they do. So
yeah. Well, maybe his mic can stick around.
There you go. But it depends on the band. We had actually, for two of Maiden's tours, they did their warm up, or they set their stage up and got their tour ready, like about 40 minutes east of me, and then before going out on tour, they would do one show. But the show was only open to 8,000 people, and the tickets would sell out in a matter of a few minutes because, I mean, technically for them, that's almost seeing them in a intimate atmosphere,
Yeah.
But I mean, like I keep talking to Mark about, I don't get why these bands like a Maiden or a Priest or Kiss, you're talking about, going to these festivals and not wanting to skimp on tickets. Let's say Judas Priest says, okay, we're going to do our usual greatest hits shows, but 2 days after the big stadium show, we're going to play at a small club for 200 people, and we're just going to do Unleashed in the East, or we're just going to do Deep Cuts, and it's going to be $300 a ticket. You don't think those bands are going to sell all those tickets out?
You would think so. I mean, back in, I don't know, 70s and that there were bands that would do that. They would come to LA and they would do a club show, but they wouldn't say what their real name was. They go under a fake name.
Right.
And so people in the know would see that and be like Blue Oyster Cult was really big at doing that. Yeah, they would, play one of the clubs. And how cool is that? I never got to, there goes no story. Sorry, kids. I never got to go to one of those things. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Well.
Okay, so Jeremy wants to know if bands come near me. Nobody comes near me, actually.
In the desert?
No, yeah, no, you got to go to Salt Lake. Although I got to say, in Wendover, in Nevada, there at the because the casinos and that, they have a music theater that's a couple of thousand seater. It is the best venue around here. Okay, but it's you got to go out there, and it's 21 and over because again, it's because they want people there to gamble. But I'm telling you, it's a theater. Fixed seats. They're super comfy. Even I bought tickets. I went and saw Blue Oyster Cult there once, where I paid $5 to sit on a stool against the back wall, and it still was fantastic. because they get
Right.
a super high stool. So I thought, well, people will be walking in front of you. Yeah, but I so sitting so high that not a problem. And the sound is great. They've got their own sound system, no own lighting system. It's a big
Mhm.
ass stage, and but they haven't had a concert there since COVID started. So
Right.
unfortunately, yeah, nothing's happening out there. And it's got to be somebody who's going to be able to pull in, more than 1,000 people
Right.
for them to book them. A lot of country, a lot of stuff like that they'll usually put out there. But yeah, if you go to Salt Lake, there's really no great venues there, but that's there's a couple of clubs. Most of them are standing. You're standing, no seats or anything like that. And yeah, do bands come around here? I'm trying to think. Well, Jeff Tate's supposed to be here this month, November 22nd, and I really want to go see that. I saw a clip from his recent show of his. The band was really good, and I don't know I don't know if you've seen this, Victor, but it's really weird because the drummer uses an electric kit.
Does he?
Yeah, and it actually sounds pretty decent. Okay, but it's just weird to see a guy up there, hitting
Well,
pads, playing all the stuff of yeah, what are the two albums they're doing? Empire and Rage for Order.
shorter, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, but I'll be honest with you. We've talked about this quite a bit. I have a program called Superior Drummer,
right.
which is what's used by a ton of different artists to record in the studio now, because they'll just not now, for like the last 10 to 15 years they've been using it, because it's funny, a lot of people will say, oh, that guy's using triggers, he's cheating. No, he's not. That's like saying, oh, he's using a pickup, he's cheating, why isn't he playing an acoustic guitar? That's just asinine. You're not understanding what triggers actually do. What a trigger is doing in that case, and especially for bands that are doing shows, especially festivals, you don't have the luxury of doing a sound check. So if you have triggers on your drums, you just show up. Most bands either use Superior Drum, or either use the basic sounds that are used there, or they sample their own drum kit in a studio. So it's their sounds, but using that program. And what that guarantees is that you always have the sound that you want when you're playing live. It's not adding extra strokes or extra hits or whatever to the drum set. It's just guaranteeing that you show up and that it isn't going to sound like shit. Because if you know anything about acoustic drums, depending on the humidity in the air, depending on the temperature, I mean, in the desert, it's not that bad because you don't have the high fluctuations of temperature. In winter, you can, like at night, but not to the extent where it's going to affect the drum head. It's not like, for example, if you're a band that's traveling, okay, you go to the desert, but then all of a sudden you're on the West Coast, let's say you get to LA, there's a ton more humidity there. So the drum heads all of a sudden look like lasagna. It has the it looks like waves. So you have to tune that. And if you have to tune every song, it's a pain in the ass. So that's why they use triggered sound. And that's it. There's no other reason for it. So
I get it. He's actually using electric cymbals too, which I thought, well, at least you'd use real cymbals. I mean, as a drummer, I've never hit those things, so I don't know what they feel like, but I don't. Well, actually, I lied. I have hit those.
I've
got a real cymbal,
I've got an electric set right there off the side. And I mean, this thing is already what? It's probably like 10 years old. So what's available now sounds a lot better than this, but I can connect it to my computer to use, those other sounds. And this program, Superior Drummer, I mean, it's recorded like in Abbey Road and in like, big studios, and they're using drum kits that, like, they rented John Bonham's Amber drum set and another Ludwig, I forget what it is, to record that. They're using 32 mics. The way that you can set it up as well, you can make it so that when you're playing, it alternates your strokes so that it doesn't. So it sounds like that, like a human is playing. So every time that you're hitting the snare, it doesn't sound the same. So it alternates it. So it sounds softer, medium, louder. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Well, anyway, I thought that was fascinating that he was using an all electric kit, and it did sound really good. But
Have
so yeah, and even more importantly, Jeff sounded really good. His voice was super strong. So hopefully he's
Have
not
you
blowing out
seen
the
any?
mic.
Sorry, I'm cutting you off. Have you seen any shows where the jazz plays, for example?
Oh, that place is the worst. Okay, that's where we saw the last concert I went to was Judas Priest, Saxon, and Black Star Riders,
Okay.
and it was my son's first time and only time seeing Judas Priest, and
Okay.
you couldn't, and I knew all the songs. He didn't quite know them all, but without knowing them, I wouldn't have known what they were playing. It was that bad. It's a really tall arena because it's
Right.
built, straight up for basketball. So upper bowl is really close, so you're looking down,
Right.
and the acoustics in there are just awful. I will not pay to go see a show there ever again. It's just a waste to go there and then not be able to hear what's going on.
Yeah.
And we stood out there at the soundboard, and because usually if sound's bad in a place, I get where the soundboard is because those are the
Mhm.
guys who are making the sound, and I
Right.
figure, well, if they think it sounds good, maybe it does where they're at.
Mhm.
No, yeah, there's nothing you can do in that place. It was awful. It was just dead awful.
Yeah,
So
that's
I felt bad for my son. I was like, yeah, you need another shot at Judas Priest where they actually sound decent. You can hear them.
that's one of the things with a lot of the more modern arenas is that they're built with only like one function in mind. They were there's a wrestling podcast that I listened to, and they were talking about the uniqueness of Madison Square Garden. And they said one of the things about Madison Square Garden is that it was built with acoustics in mind, so that when the sound does travel up, it comes back down, and
Yeah.
it makes everything sound louder. And they talked about performing there as wrestlers as opposed to performing in some of the newer arenas, or even at some of the bigger events where they're in an outdoor stadium. And they said the problem with that is the sound just goes up and never comes back.
Right.
Whereas if the arena's been built for acoustics, it makes everything sound louder. It makes the audience sound louder, makes the band sound louder. So, they were talking about how important certain cities, they were talking about the Garden, they were talking about, I forget what arena in Chicago, maybe the United Center, and the Rosemont Horizon they also brought up, which is smaller than the United Center. And they brought up, I think, the Forum in LA, saying how all three of those are great for concerts.
Yeah, I've been, the most of the shows that I saw in LA growing up are either Long Beach Sports Arena or the Forum, and both of those sounded really good. And I can't. You had somebody on here a while ago was talking about the Swing Auditorium. Was it Drew? Was talking about that place out there in San Bernardino? There was somebody on here.
It was probably Carl Alvarez.
Oh, maybe it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah, that place. It was like a big tuna can. That's what I called it. It looked just like a tuna can,
Okay.
and the acoustics there were not great. Yeah, it was not one of your better places, but still, worlds better than where the Jazz play here. The what is it called now? I don't even know what
Used
it's
to be
called.
the
They keep
Pepsi
changing
Center.
names. Whoever's got the most money and wants
Yeah.
to pay for it, they get their name on it.
And it's funny because they've just bought the the naming rights to the stadium for 30 years. And like 2 years later it's named something else. It's like, well,
Yeah.
what the hell happened?
Yeah, so the arenas here suck. The clubs, there's a small little club here that hosts a lot of metal shows. It's called Liquid Joe's, tied in with Coffee Enema, and and that's kind of a really cool place. I saw Flotsam and Jetsam there, and that's actually how I first really started getting like interested in thrash more because they were really good. And I
Right.
know the guy who totally toasted you, Ken Mary, the drummer.
No,
He-
well, It wasn't Ken. It was Michael Gilbert, because it was supposed to be Ken, and then all of a sudden I got, oh, he's traveling that day, so Michael Gilbert's going to do it instead.
Well, Ken Mary he was really good, and but the sound in there is good. It's a nice little club. People are fairly. I guess that was the only show. I do have a story about that show, by the way. Did I already tell this? These guys tried to start a mosh pit. You know, it's always great when 50-plus-year-old guys try to mosh. They get way too drunk, and then they're running around. And one of the guys runs into this woman, just runs into her, and she got so pissed, man. She like punched him, and he went down and hit the back of his head on the concrete floor.
Oh wow!
And I mean, it was like I thought he was dead. I was like, oh my gosh, this is yeah. They had to call 911, get an ambulance in there, carry the guy out on the backboard, and I'm thinking, guy, you know, what the hell, people? Yeah, is there a way? I mean, can you have fun at a show like that without having to punch people? And if you want to punch people, you can go in the back and do it. Go in the back area where there's not a bunch of people trying to watch the show, and start punching people back there. I don't know.
So she punched him, and
it's over, Johnny.
Yeah. Yeah, he was down, man. It was CEO Dave was with me at that show too.
Was he?
Yeah, which is always cool. It's always cool when CEO Dave joins in on a rock event. But anyway, it's a cool little club. There's a few other kind of bigger 1,000 type venues here as well, and but they're all standing, all general admission, and I'm cool with that. I can do that for a show. My wife hates it because she's small. She's like 5'2", and always every time I take Shelly to something, the biggest, dumbest, sweatiest guy in all of Utah gets there, and he stands right in front of her. And you try moving, and then somehow it just doesn't work out. And I think I talked about going to the Monsters of Rock, Van Halen, Scorpions, Dokken, and Metallica was on that bill as well. And Shelly and I went to that. They didn't have it here because, of course, Utah couldn't host something like that. We went and saw it in Spokane, Washington.
Okay.
And we got down. We sat up in the shade for the first few bands. When Dokken came on, we got down on the floor and pushed our way up there. And we're probably about 20 rows back ish. There's no seats or anything. And I loved it. And it was a great show.
Mm-hmm.
And so afterward, I said, "Hey, what did you think?" She says, "I couldn't see anything." It sounded great, but I couldn't see nothing. And it's like, God, that sucks. You spend all that money, you stand there for an hour, and you can't see anything. So, yeah, if I'm taking her somewhere, I got to be sensitive to that.
So I'm 6'3", and I usually end up with the only guy that's 6'4" and up in front of me, almost always.
Yeah,
I don't know how. I'm like a magnet for this shit. So we went to go see the two Cavalera brothers were doing a Sepultura album in its entirety a few years back, and we were at the venue, and my friend is to my left, my wife is to my right. They're both much shorter than I am. They could see, but I had the one dude with elephantitis in front of me, where I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm the only one like trying to freaking see here, you know?
Yeah, that's yeah. I don't know. I seem to fare pretty well at those things, but yeah, I can't take her to that kind of a show. So,
right.
Which is another reason when I took her to M3 and she really at first didn't want to go, that she actually loved it, because not only, because it's tiered and there's seats, and you could hear everything. It was great. So nice venue. I'm still waiting to see if they're going to do that again this year. I hope they do. Well, in 2022.
2022, yeah.
Yeah. Because I've already taken the week plus off of work, because I think I still might be working in May. I don't know. We'll see.
Why would you not be working in May?
I might retire.
Oh wow.
Yeah, life's getting too short, man. I want to go to Sweden. I want to go to, I don't know. I want to play more music, and it's tough to work all the time and try to squeeze all that other stuff in there. I figure I'm kind of, my shelf life as far as a musician,
Mhm.
I feel like it's kind of getting close. So maybe this is a topic we can do for next time we do this show, that you have me on. Is that what current band that's out that might be out there touring?
Mhm.
And I think you started this when you talked about LA Guns, that their drummer disappeared. But what band would you be like? I could do that gig.
Right.
Okay. So think about that for next time, because I've already got my dream list for, it's like, hey, if their bass player goes away, I'm in. I am so in. I was like, when Fiddy left Udo, my brother was like, dude, you gotta send him a tape, man. You gotta. I'm like, number one, I don't speak German, okay? Because those guys, you got to speak German to hang with them. And anyway, I think I probably still could have done the gig.
Well, all depends on how much you were willing to not get paid.
Well, I'm okay with that too. At this point in my life, I'd be like, all you got to do is cover my per diem, okay? Cover my room board per diem. You wouldn't even have to pay me. I would do it. Yeah, I'd be more into a fly-in band though.
Now that's figure this. Ace Frehley, Alice Cooper, who were just out on the road together.
Yeah.
Those are bus bands. So your fly bands, there's very few of those left.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The whole bus band thing, it depends on the guys. I Again, getting older, sleep for me, I got to have a nice bed. I can't, it's not like the good old days where you could sleep on the floor, sleep on a sofa, whatever. Um, and sleep's important to me. I got to be comfy. Aerosmith will need a bassist. Oh no. Oh no.
It was funny all week. I'm thinking of what Aerosmith comment is Jeremy going to make this week, because it's almost become like a running thing here where he brings up Aerosmith every week.
Yeah. To be honest with you too, like, okay, let's just say in a crazy sideways world that I got a call to play bass for Aerosmith. Well, now, number one, I really don't know their material. I mean, I know a lot of their songs, but not a huge amount. And number two, I just don't know about hanging with those guys. Of course, I don't. Doesn't seem like there's a lot of hanging with the band anyway. It seems like everybody goes their separate ways in
Yeah.
between shows, as it is. I think Joey Kramer is probably about the most decent guy to hang out with in that band, and I don't even know, is he still in the band?
I don't know. I don't think he knows if he's still in the
Yeah.
band or not.
Yeah, I don't even know that they're doing anything, but yeah, I'd kind of, because I mean, for me, it'd be not just the music, but it'd be the
Right.
guys. It'd have to be guys that I think I could hang with.
You want to make sure the ambiance is there as well.
Yeah, I want to have fun, man. I want to rock, and yeah. If they're gonna try to make me stay in one place, can't do that. Sorry.
So Ozzy's out of the question.
Ozzy's totally out of the question, man. Really? It won't let the bass player move in Ozzy? I guess not.
Oh yeah, no way. Okay. There was if you read Rudy Sarzo's book, he talks about the fact that when he joined the band, he was all over the place, and then Sharon went up to him and put tape around the rectangle and said, "See this rectangle? You can't leave this rectangle the entire show. Whatever you want to do needs to be done within this space."
I can't do that.
And then I've been listening to the Metallica podcast that they put out for the Black Album, which, being the music nerd that I am, I loved it. And Robert Trujillo talks about joining Metallica and how the first show that he did, they were playing, and of course, Metallica's used to, James and Kurt and everyone's like running all over the place. So they're swapping mics all the time. So he says, the first show I'm doing, James comes up to me and he says, while they're playing the song, he says, go to the other fucking mic. And then he goes to the other mic. And then Kurt comes up to him and says, it's my turn to be at this mic. You go to the other mic. And he was like, what the fuck's going on? And then he says, they asked him, they said, well, what's the problem? He goes, didn't Ozzy let you go wherever you want? He's like, no, I was told that I couldn't leave my mic stand. I had to stay at that mic stand and groove away at the music there, but I couldn't go anywhere from there. So I was like, well, they're still doing the same shit.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. And by the way, Jeremy, the UFO is one band that I actually know their entire set. And although the guy who's playing with them now, why can't I think of his name? Rob. Is it Rob?
Rob, he's from Spread Eagle.
Yeah, Spread Eagle.
Something.
Good dude. And he plays the part really, really well. So yeah, as long as he's in there. But what's that?
Does he?
Yeah.
Rob DeLuca.
Rob DeLuca, thank you. Yeah, Rob. I knew there was an L in there too. So good trivia question. Yeah, Rob, he plays the songs really well. And yeah, but I could definitely do UFO. I think I could actually hang with those guys too. I think Phil's a weirdo. But I think I could handle his weirdness. Andy, drummer, he's a good dude. Yeah, I could hang with him. So yeah, put me in, coach. I'm in. UFO.
Learned a lot listening to Strangers in the Night. Jeremy mentioned something about Cozy Powell today. Learned a lot from listening to Cozy's drumming on the second Shanker album and the Live at Budokan bootleg, and actually later on with Brian Mayne stuff. So, I mean, I hear what you're saying. Andy Parker.
Andy Parker's, he's a great drummer.
Before I messed up my ankle in 02? No, 01. Snowboarding. And before that, I could play the song Let It Roll, which he plays on with double bass.
Yep.
I could do it with one foot.
That's a tough song to play. Yeah.
And I messed up my ankle, and I can't do the same thing. Probably if I had nothing else to do and I sat there, but what happens is when I play at a certain speed, there's a tendon that pops out of place, which is never fun to feel while you're in the middle of drumming. So
I'll tell you the one song off of well, I guess it is on the Strangers in the Night. They do This Kid's on there. That's from Force It. That song kicks my ass. I did just the rhythm. I don't even know what the timing is there. I think I could do it now. I think I can get my head around it, but yeah, the rhythm on that. Ooh. Yeah, I can't play that on the drums.
Yeah, I have to think of that. Yeah, because I want to think that's maybe an 8/6 time signature. It is a weird time signature.
Yeah, it's really weird. Great song though, by the way. Yeah.
No, because it's in triple, so it may actually be like 9/6.
No, I think there's an odd, like a different 5 or 7 break in there somewhere. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So UFO. Yeah. Well, come on, Victor, get your ankle better. Let's you and me go join UFO. I wonder if they're ever going to play another show again.
Can do Rock Bottom without a problem, or
yeah, I can do Rock Bottom. I can actually sing that too and play it. That's one of the few songs I can sing and play.
There you go. Lights Out.
I'll send you a recording of that.
But Lights Out is fairly easy to play. I'm trying to think what else.
You know what's funny is Lights Out is one song that it's just okay for me.
Right.
And I mean, people go ape shit over it. Okay. But I'm just like, yeah, it's all right. I don't know. I'd be okay if they didn't play it in a set. I had no problem with that at all.
Here's the thing. They, like on Strangers in the Night, I like it a lot more than the studio version.
Yeah. I
could say the same about Rock Bottom. And then when they got back together, they re-recorded both songs they re-recorded one of them. What's that?
The Walk on Water album.
One was on
Dr.
Yeah. What? Doctor, and what was the other one?
Lights Out.
Lights Out. Okay. And so on the album after that, which is where Shanker bolted, they did the same thing with Rock Bottom. But see, with that, I know that people were kind of hung up because they tuned down a little with that, but I thought it sounded cool because it sounded a little meatier. It sounded a little heavier to me. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. It's funny because as a kid coming over to Europe, I'd see all these lists. Oh, greatest live album ever. Strangers of the Night, UFO. Strangers of the Night, UFO. I'm like, who the fuck's this UFO band? Because when, I get it. If you grew up in the 70s, a lot of people knew who they were. But in the 80s, I didn't know who UFO was, So it was one of these things where I bought the Michael Schenker anthology, which was a 2-cassette deal. And then I bought Strangers in the Night. And I played the ever-living crap out of both. And with Michael, I've mentioned this before, I like more or less everything he's done to varying degrees up until the last Robin McCauley album. And then after that, he just kind of lost it because he just kind of became run-of-the-mill, sounded like everyone else. Not to say that maybe some of those McCauley albums didn't sound like other bands, but I think there were enough hooks and melodies and to make those songs interesting, and his soloing was really good. But after that, it just became too generic to me. But the first two albums, to me, those first two Michael Schenker solo albums, to me, are on par with anything that he did in UFO or anything that he did with Scorpions.
Yeah,
so
I would agree with you there.
Yeah, they're both great.
Yeah, good stuff.
So, in any event, we are 90 minutes in. Yeah. I want to thank Mr. Brad Dahl for joining us again today.
Thanks for having me. Always happy.
Yeah, it is always.
I'm gonna do my part for new music here.
There you go.
Yeah, you should get this. If you have at least listen to it, however you kids listen to your music now, Spotify, Rectify, whatever. Yeah, this is really good. Listen to it and let me know if I'm wrong. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks everyone who's in the chat today, from Jeremy to Rob to Jose to Paula. Who else?
Isn't it time for Art to jump in?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, my brother's usually he's probably tied up with something, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good weekend to everybody.
He may be watching, but anyway. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for spending your Friday with us. Oh, Johan, we forgot to say hello to Johan.
Yeah, Johan, my Rush brother in Sweden. I was going to ask Johan, are they doing shows in Sweden at all yet, in clubs or anything like that? I kind of feel like that's still not a thing yet.
I don't think they stopped because Sweden never.
I think they did. All my friends and bands there haven't been playing at all.
Oh yeah, well, okay, could be wrong.
Yeah, so I don't know. Johan, chime in on that. But I also want to say goodbye to everybody. And Trivia Tuesday. Come on, be there. So what? You won't be able to beat Metal Dan. It's okay. You might be able to beat me, but maybe not.
Oh, there you go. Johan said, "Oh, yes."
Oh, okay. All right, Johan and I need to talk.
There you go. So, all right, guys. Thanks again. Thank you. As I always say, appreciate you guys spending this time with us, with me and Brad tonight. There's a million other things you guys could have done tonight, but you decided to hang with us, and I appreciate that. And I mean that to anyone who's listening to this live or listening to the replay or watching the replay. And on that note, we will see you next time on the Signals. No, actually, yes, Trivia Tuesday, and then next week's Signals from Mars.
We will listen to Yarg Metal.
There you go. And listen to Yarg Metal in between.
Yeah. Let me know what you think.
See you guys.